So thank you so much, Julie and Grant, for joining me in this podcast called Brain and You. I'm very, very happy to
Wow.
have a mother-son duo
Thank
because
you.
I have so much to ask from a mother's perspective, a parent's
Mhm.
perspective, and also from an autistic adult who is doing so well. And not only just that he's independent, he's contributing to the society.
Yes.
So I think I'm going to really enjoy myself. And my objective of this session would be for the parents, for the young adults, both to have certain key takeaways from here that your child can be independent, your child can also add a lot of value to the society.
Oh,
So,
yes.
yeah. Okay, so let me start. So, Julie, tell me, I'm going to take you many, many years back and ask you that the day
Okay.
you walked in with Grant for an assessment and you went back for a diagnosis and you got the results in your hands, how was your reaction? What did you understand at that particular moment?
So we go back, Grant was born in 1995, but we go back to the year 2000. So
Mm-hmm.
5 years not knowing what high functioning, that's what we called it, uh, autism looked like. I knew what severe and I knew what moderate autism looked like, but I didn't ever heard of high functioning, nor did a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Time magazine even had the word autism, but they looked normal on the front
Mm-hmm.
page, like normal kids,
Mm-hmm.
with a question mark. What is this autism? So
Mm-hmm.
2000, divorced by the time Grant was 4. And then in the year 2000, we don't have Google, so we don't have access to finding a lot of information. I had a lot of friends, girlfriends, and they loved watching Grant at the daycare until he had a meltdown. Then they
Mm-hmm.
called me. And so one of them gave me some information that she printed
Mm-hmm.
off. And I read it and I realized this sounds like Grant, because one trigger would happen and that would live on for weeks, if not a little longer, go away, and then another trigger would happen and another meltdown. And his meltdowns were extreme because Grant's autism is a lot of anxiety based.
Mm-hmm.
And then my doctor, she had been watching Grant grow, and she said, you should get him diagnosed, and if you
Mm-hmm.
need help, you let me know. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what I needed him diagnosed for, but something wasn't right. He could talk. He had great motor skills.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he was echolalic, which was a little different.
Mm-hmm.
But he just couldn't interact with
Okay.
people, especially men. And so I did. I had him tested, and it came back PDD NOS, and then a form of autism. But at this point now, he's 6 years old, and I'm not afraid. I'm not scared. Even being alone as a single mom, I just wanted to help him. My
Yeah.
gosh, the meltdowns were very extreme,
Okay.
and I just wanted to help him. So I'm like, okay, now we know. And I have a medical background. So
Okay.
so it's like, okay, now we know, let's get to work, because this little guy, he needs
Okay.
help.
Okay. Oh,
So I
that's
wasn't afraid.
incredible.
I was ready to help
Okay.
him.
Okay. That's incredible. I think today is my day of meeting strong women who just knew that there is no time to waste. Let's just get on with it. You're my
Yeah.
So before speaking to you, when I speak to Soma, she's again one very strong lady, and I'm just so amazed to meet you both. Normally, when I speak to parents and to so tell me, in that journey, did you really need a set of friends or family to come and support you, and were people there?
Well, then ironically, I needed a job.
Hmm.
Because I'm divorced and I need a job. And so I'm looking through the paper, and there's a teacher's assistant for an autism school. Now,
Okay.
I just am learning about, now I don't even know if Grant got that diagnosis just then. I'm talking maybe a month later he did. So I thought, oh, I know autism. I know moderate and severe autism. I can do this. So I got the job. And,
Okay.
the week before the kids came, I had prepared all the other teachers' aid that, they're going to do all this stuff because they're moderate, severe. And then they came that following week. Now, Grant went to public school that week,
Okay.
because again, I was still learning.
Yeah.
And then I saw all these kids at recess. What didn't click was they were high functioning. And I'm watching them on the playground. I thought, this is Grant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I couldn't afford private school. So he was still in public school, but it only lasted about a week because of he was really afraid of the thunder. And in Houston, there's a lot of thunder and
Yeah.
rain. And they'd always call me to come get Grant. So it kind of interfered with the job, but the job
Mm.
understood Grant and kids like him. And finally, the director and I spoke, and she said, we will find a place for Grant. We didn't have any room. And they found a place for Grant. And I was the teacher's assistant. I even helped them start the after school program, anything so that my Grant could get help. I was going to do it.
Perfect.
And so we were there, from 8 to 5 or 8 to 6.
Yeah.
And Grant, so I was blessed to have these teachers, these therapists, these directors raising Grant.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
they were raising me too.
It was a wonderful school, Westview.
It was. And they knew how to handle these kids. The kids in public school meant well, but no one really understood autism.
Yeah.
And so Grant was bullied or picked on or laughed at. But at this school, Westview School, the kids didn't know the difference. They had their own thing going on. So they were just happy kids.
Okay. Do you believe in fate? I mean, it looks like fate to be like destiny. It was all planned.
We believe in fate.
Oh.
You do know that in 2022, Grant was diagnosed with cancer.
Is it? Okay.
Yep.
It was quite a surprise, honestly.
And he beat it.
Yeah.
He beat it. We're good friends with Dr. Temple Grandin, and she called us almost every night to make sure he was okay. Grant had to go through 6 months of chemo treatment every week, chemo, and never ever got sick, like never threw up, and he never lost all his hair.
Nope. Now I would get tired from time to time because of it, but no, I never got sick. I never vomited.
He was strong, and he lost weight, but we thought because he was intermittent fasting. But it was cancer in Houston, but we thought it was allergies because he was just hacking, not coughing, hacking. And I said, we'll get to Wisconsin and the air will be cleaner because Houston goes through a lot of hurricanes. So there's a lot of mold and pollen. We got up here, it got better because he did get through the fall semester. But once I got his insurance taken care of and transferred, then he was able to get a checkup. And, one thing led to another, which they thought it was an infection, but it turned out to be more. So when you talk about faith, we were always been strong people in faith. But boy, we were really strong then. Every night, we added another element of praising and faith. And to this day, even tonight, we'll still continue praying because whatever we did, something worked. And then everybody, we moved to this little town that we don't know a lot of people, maybe 3. But I had to quit working at the ARC as a Special Olympics coordinator. I just had got a job, had to quit because who was going to watch Grant all day? So this little town stepped up. They brought us food. Everybody all over the world started buying his art, whether it was $25 or $10,000. The college bought books, and the TV stations came and interviewed him because this is Grant. He's the eco artist, and so faith is like, that's first. That's first.
Very much.
And then family, and then the cat.
Of course. But I'm so thankful to everybody that supported me during that difficult time.
Yeah. So this is really good, Grant. I mean, my best wishes to you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I said to Temple, he doesn't get sick. Like, I read a lot of articles and
side effects.
And there's not a lot of cases on autism and cancer. Because I looked up everything, and unless I missed it. And then I said to Temple, do you think the autism DNA cancels the cancer DNA? And she goes, well, I don't know.
Something to look into.
And I thought, well, there's not a lot of cases out there. And in Grant's case, he withstood that red poison, I called it, but I was shocked. And he got his weight back. He didn't have a great diet. He had a very American diet, but he still did fasting. We still did that, even though we know the body needs to eat when you're going through cancer.
No. Fasting helps. Yeah, it
we
helps.
also knew the
Keeps the
body would
cells.
regenerate if it could just fast. So we
That was
kind of
one
did
good
our own
thing.
medicine and their medicine, and we just did it together. Only because, because he was almost stage 3. And so I don't know if I would have done chemo at stage 1, but at stage 3 was like, whoa, boom. And it was right next to his heart.
Right here.
Yeah. So we felt, let's just do that. But I'm very much a holistic person. But I do know there's that line where you like, well, let's try that. And I think Grant was cleared in 3 months or less, but we still had to follow the routine. And we did. And he has one more CAT scan and then he's done. So he's gone 3 years, 3.5 years. So yes, we are people of faith, great faith, all faiths. Doesn't matter what faith, we're going to be of that faith, because we know
that's true.
Just being in joy, just being in love, and knowing that God is right there. We're okay.
So Julie, when he was with you, you were a single mom, you had just taken up a job and new school, lots of expenses. What bothered you the most? Did his future come in your mind?
As I guess because I was fortunate to have him in a school for autism, and I could see kids before him advancing, I knew he had a chance to advance. Of course, you come to a point in your life where, is he going to be independent, or do I need to be his guardian? And I know the ramifications of being his guardian can, take away his rights of certain things, driving, voting, whatever it may be. But I had a feeling Grant could do it because I raised him to be independent. Because I always tell my parents this when we advocate, you're not always going to be here. So are you ready? Did you prepare them for you to leave, no matter what age? Because I saw this happen to a girlfriend of mine. Her son was moderate severe, and she passed away. And the father, he just, he lost it, wasn't all there afterwards. But they didn't prepare the kid. They didn't prepare anything. And I was called in to take him and take care of him. And so I did. But I realized with all the money they had, they didn't prepare him. So I was able to, get the dad in control, take him to group homes to see what we could do and help them. But that was a big eye opener. You need to be ready. And so, my life insurance, my bank accounts, all that, my will, all that is in place. However, Grant is his own independent person. So it was really hard to watch him sign his medical papers to take on chemotherapy, because normally I'd say, nope, everything stops. But we were that close, and he had this big red scar on his chest. So we're like, we just had to believe that God had it all under control.
So how was it, Grant growing up in that town? You had all the support from the society, or did you have to really validate or prove your son in front of the society, or make them believe that he is just one more like you? He is differently wired. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, we were in an age, 2002 to 2006. People really didn't still understand autism. So when Grant would have a meltdown, or I'd have to take him into the ladies' bathroom at the age of 7 or 8, I'd get eyes, or I'd get somebody say, he shouldn't be in here. And I said, he has autism. And their reaction was always like, oh, okay. They didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
So we were at the age of everybody learning.
True.
And when you're learning, you're not as judgmental.
Okay.
Compassionate, they were more compassionate. Even when Grant would cut in line and they'd get mad, and I'd grab him by then and say, he has autism. They'd just like, oh, okay. But they, still get behind the line. But if you say that now, oh, my son has autism, they're like, well, I know of a school, or I know of a person. So
you will hear that.
You get advice. Whereas when it was Grant, we weren't judged, and now we're getting advice.
Okay.
And
Okay.
maybe 20 years from now, everybody will like, well, you did a great job.
Yeah.
But that's what it was growing up with autism till about, because I know he went to public school in 2005, so he's 9. And even then in 2005, remember he's diagnosed in 2000, 2005, 6, right in there. Houston, a huge city, we're just starting sensory friendly rooms.
Okay.
And they had a substitute teacher one day and she yelled at Grant a lot. And another teacher from across the way came and got him and put him in the sensory room. And of course, a lot of apologies going on. People just didn't know.
Yeah.
That things have gotten better. So I'm always applauding those who have done so much
For this
from
change.
2006 on and never given
Yeah.
up on
Yeah.
kids. And the ones who don't live with autism who are doing and pouring their heart into this, I'm like, wow, you're the real angels because you don't even live with autism and yet your heart is there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
But I had a lot of support. You know, I wasn't a single mom pulling her hair out. And I'm very strict. My mom was. I'm very strict and I need my sanity and I need to work. So Grant knows his manners. Grant knows how to behave. But when he'd have a meltdown, I also had to adjust my behavior in order to help him get through that meltdown and I don't get upset. I just don't tolerate a lot. But I had to tolerate half of what he was doing. And the other half was like, let's do it together. Let's work through this together.
So in Houston, when you said the society wasn't that aware, when you would go out in public, let's say public parks or restaurants or malls, and Grant has a meltdown, would you like take him away? Would you stand there and educate those people who are staring, or what would be your reaction then?
The big question is if we went out in public.
Okay.
I think what I probably could sense was people knew I was strict and yet I was very loving. So he could scream, but I would be holding him even if he's screaming right in my ear. So they knew this mom knows there's something wrong, but she's not going to discipline him in a physical way. She's disciplining him with love and a lot of we're here, we're okay, we're together, you know, a lot of talk. And then of course I'd remove him from the room if I had to. But as long as Grant knew he could trust me and like I would never just leave him at a daycare. He went to daycare. That's when we were still kind of finding out he had autism. So bless their hearts. They'd always say, just leave. I'm like, no, I'm not just going to leave. And he turns around. I'm not here. I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to tell him I'm going to come back and it's going to be okay. And by doing that, maybe about 2 or 3 times, 3, 4 times, he got it. But I would never leave without saying, I love you. I'll be right back.
Grant, what are your memories from initial days? How long can you go back that you remember? Something that hurt you? Some particular incident that hurt you, and some particular incident where you were just so glad that your mom was there. She came back or she came to rescue you or
Well, the thing is, because my mother, she has always been there for me, so I can never pin it down to just one thing. She has been with me through so much in my life. Best thing I can say is I would not be who I am today without her.
And the things that triggered you were like kids, like even bullied by your.
There were definitely things that triggered me in the past, being bullied, teased, picked on. Those were isolated.
But then I'd step in.
And of course, when I was really young, the thunder and lightning and the incoming clouds were what definitely triggered me. So I had a lot of things. I had anxieties, and I still have anxieties today. They're better managed.
And what do you remember about the school? How did Westview School, an autism school, help you?
Westview, not only was it's because it's a school for autism, I felt that I fit in more. All the other students were just like me. I had a lot of good friends there.
If you had a meltdown, were you disciplined or what? You were helped or what?
When I had a meltdown, they would indeed help me because
they understood. Yeah.
Right.
Those teachers understood how to handle a meltdown. And Grant's were big.
I mean, I still had some meltdown initially when I got there good.
Yeah.
Because they were a little more aware of autism. They were very instrumental in helping me.
Oh, we were so blessed. I
Okay.
was so blessed to find that job.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. So Grant, if you at that age, um, when you were not a part of that autistic school and you were going to the public school, was it easy for you to fit in, or were you finding it tough? What used to bother you then?
I won't lie, it still had some challenges, but I was a little bit older at the time when I went back to public school, and going through Westview did prepare me a bit, but there were always still going to be some challenges and moments where my anxieties would flare up, and every now and then there were a few kids would still bully and tease me, but
Yeah.
I was a bit more prepared at the time,
I can,
but still it was challenging.
I can tell you that the teachers in 2000, whatever it was, 8, 9, Grant had a meltdown. It was pretty severe, and it disrupted the classroom, and they called me in, and they're explaining to me what happened and how they handled it, which wasn't, they did well, but they had to read instructions from a book, how to handle an autism meltdown. I'm like, wait a minute, you're reading a book while my son's having a meltdown? So that's where they were still learning how to handle this autistic. I said, because I'll tell you what, if you can't handle Grant, you wait to see what's coming, because Grant's an easy one to handle.
Yeah, got it.
So you just got to, 10 more classes or 10 more, and so they would call me the expert, and I was always ready for IEPs, and, I always won, but it was not enough. They don't give them enough speech and enough therapy in public school. So Grant was fortunate again to go to private school for middle school and high school. And the only way I could afford that as a single mom was, now the art business was building, and I started training art. And Grant has raised to date over $500,000 with his art, helping others with scholarships, like somebody helped us, and wheelchairs and hearing aids. So we give back because somebody gave to us.
No, I will come back to that because I've seen that on your website. So Grant, going back then, tell me, since not many teachers also understood what autism was, did they understand you to be intellectually low or low IQ or dumb? Did you ever feel that?
I don't believe I ever felt that they treated me like I was, like I wasn't very smart. It was kind of like the same with every other student in the classroom, from basically what I can remember the most. But no, I don't remember them treating me like I was not smart.
And do you have this memory where, even adults, I mean, the society, not many people at that time knew and understood autism or knew how to deal with a child who has autism. So they would always baby talk with the child. And do you have that memory of somebody, baby talking with you, and you feel so irritated that, speak to me of my age because I'm an intelligent person here?
Do I remember that?
Anyone baby talk to you? Like, Grant, you can do it. You go ahead. Even at the age of 12, anyone talk to you like that? I don't think so.
No,
That's good.
I really don't remember that at all, but I don't even think it even happened really, because when I was in public school, everyone was practically being treated the same way.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until they learned autism, but I don't think even then they were.
It was the kids who were mean to Grant.
Yeah, it was more the kids and the teachers.
Oh, they were mean. Yeah. And there were isolated incidents where Grant had gotten in, he disrupted the class. So they wrote me a note that tomorrow Grant's going to be sitting by himself at lunch because he doesn't, interact properly, whatever. And I'm like, oh, no, he's not. I said, you can reprimand him however fits appropriately, but not in a social situation. It's a social situation we're trying to accomplish. So why would you make him sit by himself at lunchtime? How degrading is that? So I think they just took away his library time or recess time. Because having lunch and recess are two different interactions. One is one-on-one, eye-to-eye contact with the other one. All over the place. So they were learning. But I'm just
So
glad I
Grant,
got back in private school.
yeah. How has it been, Grant, now? Now you are a young adult. When you look back, how tough was it and how do you feel now?
It was definitely a long road. There were a lot of bumps along the way, a lot of challenges. But you know what? If I had not gone through all of that, I would not be who I am today, would not be where I am today. I have now an associate in applied science. I'm working at SSM Health, which is a hospital at the Trefford Studios. They are an amazing facility working with those on the spectrum like me, but I'm working with them. So but
Amazing.
overall,
Yeah.
I'm grateful to a lot of the things and a lot of the
Yeah.
friends and the family I have.
And I
Yeah.
think it's obvious that he has accomplished what he has accomplished because I moved with him.
Right.
I'm not a parent who's stuck in a job and wherever Grant goes, I go, literally.
Yeah.
Because I just know he still needs me. He's driving, but he still needs help. But I'm trying in Houston. Well, one thing we knew was we needed to get out of Houston, only because it's too big for kids like Grant, too hard to drive, to get around, and not necessarily to meet people, but it's just too big. So all that crazy traffic movement can build anxieties. So I always knew we needed a little town, and COVID changed everything. We lost the art business. Well, business wasn't there. We still had the art. And so when we were offered this opportunity to go from Texas to Wisconsin, we did it, because we weren't tied down to a mortgage. That was another thing I learned as a parent. Working as a teacher's aide, I would hear parents who have homes hours away. And then they found our school, but their house is an hour and a half away. So they'd go buy another house, hoping to sell that house just so they could get close to our school. So I thought, I'm not buying a house till I know it's time to have a base. And so I might have tried a couple times to buy a house, but that was that subprime thing, and I got out of that. Oh, thank goodness. But it just, like God just knows, not time to buy a house. I think it's time to buy a house now.
Good. So, Grant, tell me, somebody watching this who is probably, a 13-year-old or 15-year-old, or maybe a parent of an autistic child, what is that one advice you want to give to that young boy or young girl to at a place where you are today?
I would say if find their talent and find their talent and help build upon it. Make a portfolio, enter contests. If it's something like art or music, anything, just find that talent. And if you find that talent, help them grow, make it something unique, make
support group.
And of course, support group. I have plenty of support groups that have helped me along.
Okay.
Because literally what I would say is that autism does not define me. I define my autism through my talent and skills.
And we've always said a network of people, because like I said, if something happens to me, he now knows he can call our friends here where we live now, and his brother's set up and ready financially in case he has to come take care of Grant. As long as Grant knows this mentally, that my friend's phone number, my brother has money to come here to get me, mom set this all up, because I plan for it just in case.
That's right.
Yeah. I want to know more, Julie. I want to know more about that. So this is a very common question that any parent would have, that what after me? Not just a parent of a neurodiverse child, but any parent,
Oh, yeah.
Is my child settled? What happens to my children after me? So I want to know from you that this is very interesting because you have planned it through and you've had a friend who did not plan it through. So tell me more about it, because parents would really, really
well, and I really
benefit.
think my friend, bless her heart and her soul, prepared me for that journey.
Yeah.
Because, she just said, Julie, help me if something goes wrong. I said, I will, I'll help him. And I did. But I learned that, oh my gosh, you've got to be ready. And I'm not 100% ready. I'm at a point of now looking into living trusts and how I put everything into a living trust for Grant. So I've gone through the life insurance. I've had it for like 25 years now. And Grant, we both have life insurance. I've gone through the special needs trust fund, but we were always building the business, not knowing So the business been around about 12 years, not knowing 10 years ago that we would be here talking to people. He just did the art because he was watching too much TV. He was homeschooled. And I took him out of public school and homeschooled him. Then I found the private school and people wanted to buy his art. And I was like, but they're mine, because he would always give the art to me as a gift. So I started making prints, and then the prints started selling. And then, like Grant said, I tell all my parents, enter them in contest, because the contest is either going to build the confidence or show them where they can improve upon. And Grant just kept winning grand championships and best of show. And we're like, what? We had no idea. We knew Grant could draw, but we didn't know he could tear up paper. This is all paper behind us. That's not in puzzles. That's not even paint. And
okay.
But that's what his art's all about. It's not. Let me see if you can see this one.
Yeah.
No, I got it. I got it.
Yeah,
you see it?
I can see it. Yes.
It's all paper and puzzles.
Oh, that's why you say it's eco-friendly.
Right. It's all eco-friendly. So
that's amazing. Yeah.
We just started selling prints, and then the business just kept growing and growing.
Yeah.
So Grant has had pieces sell for $10,000, $15,000. But I wanted to get even higher than that. So we're getting there. So I don't know where I was going with all this, other than preparing him, even though most of the business is mine, because the artist, he gives it to me and I still help him find everything. In the event I'm gone, it's all taken care of for Grant.
Okay.
For the most part. I'd say I'm 80% there, but I'm not 100% there. I'm learning.
So I think this is exactly where parents lag, that by the time they realize they have to make the child independent. So it's called, he should be able to live independently and do some basic chores by himself, be aware of money. It at times gets late.
Yeah, even Grant had to learn how to Uber. He had to Uber one time because my mom was passing away. And so I had to leave to another state, Washington, and yet all my friends, he had everybody's number. And how old were you? He was probably about 22, 23, and yet still, learning. But he learned to Uber because he worked at Staples part-time. So again, even I was out of the picture. So in a way, I was not there anymore.
So Grant, you can manage basic daily routine activities by yourself now?
Not just Uber. I know all about the necessities of going, working in the house, vacuum, laundry, cleaning the room, bathrooms, bedrooms, all that stuff. She showed me all the basic necessities.
A lot of it during COVID. We had nothing to do, so I showed him how to sew on a button, and things like that. But I do that now. Even at the studios, I teach living skills and sewing buttons and whatever, making change, whatever. Because always in the back of my mind, what if it's tomorrow? And he's on his own.
No, this is amazing. I think this should be one of the strongest takeaways from here, that parents have to start doing that. And it can be at the age of 20. It can define their talent, prepare them, make them independent. And they should know about money.
Oh yeah, I had a mom once come up to me and say, Julie, I listen to you and you always say find their talent and work on their talent. Well, I can't find my daughter's talent. I said, well, Mom, how old is your daughter? And she says she's 34. I said, Mom, you need to now make a talent. I said, because she needs, she's 34 and you're probably much older now. And, clock is ticking. So I said, what do you do? Are you a seamstress? Are you a cook? What do you do? I said, well, then teach her that, because they're all a product of our environment. In fact, Grant has learned to do what he does because I'm a seamstress. So he watched me cut and sew and piece things together. So that's what he can do too. But if you have not found your child's talent, you create a talent.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent advice. Because parents do come and say, what if my child doesn't have a special talent? I can say that for my children. I don't see anything super outstanding, so they have to figure it out.
Right. Well, so even that quirky talent, a quirky talent is probably trying to come through. Grant would tear everybody's paper, drove everybody crazy. We knew he could draw, but tearing to the point where I'm asked to make him stop. Now he can't cut yet because he doesn't have fine motor skills, but he could tear everything. And I just thought, collaging? No, he learned it in school. And it just kind of went from there. And
wow. Yeah. That's amazing.
So it could be a quirky talent that drives everyone crazy. How can we take that talent that they so love and make it more? So Tara turned into collaging.
Get it. Oh, so this is amazing. So how do you feel, Grant, now running a business? What are your plans? What do you aim to do in the coming years? How do you think? What do you think, Grant, today? When you sit here, when you get up in the morning, do you think of future? Do you think of that day? How does it go?
Now, I do think about the future from time to time, you know, what I want to get in life. Not just going for my animation degree next, but help my mom, you know, get her a house, a nice house that she deserves. And of course,
it's time, right?
Yep. And of course a car. Because we got one car right now. But for the most part, I usually think more on what am I going to get done today. If you focus on today, the future will become more and more clear, I would say.
And when they're looking.
Right. And of course, one day be in a relationship.
Yeah, I was about to ask that. That was my next question.
Yeah, now that's the only hard thing about a little town. not a lot of choices, but we're getting there. We're just still new to the state, and we had another lockdown when Grant had cancer. We stayed home. So, but they're trying to build a relationship group and program at the studios. So I'm hoping to be a big part of that, and maybe do like a what do you call it, speed dating or something. Those, you know, those are diverse of any need.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're in that direction.
Nice.
Grant needs a relationship. Grant needs to drive more. Grant is doing great in school. He 3.85 GPA, you know.
Excellent.
So and I didn't help him, not at all. Did I help at all? So he's just very smart.
Yeah.
We tackled a lot of things, job, school, but we don't have relationship. Driving's okay. And independent living, we've tackled that. So I guess you could like break it down into what do you teach your child? Independent living, you teach them to go to school, you teach them to get a job, and then how to handle relationships. And
so Julie, how do you tell him to handle it? Tell me more about you guiding your son around the relationship aspect. What role did you play as a parent?
Well, I've been playing that role for a long time. He has learned how to treat me as a lady, whether it's opening the door or taking out the trash, you know, helping, being that partner. And when we talk about, so like when you have a girlfriend, Grant, you're gonna have to do this, or you know, and like he took Temple and I out for dinner, and he wrote he paid the bill and the tip, you know, and he said, I'll take that bill. So he's learning how to treat a woman like a lady. But he also knows his boundaries. You know, you don't let her do this and this and this and this. And, you know, he has seen me go through a couple ships, you know, where I was almost got married, but, you know, I stood my ground. I was not going to be, you know, pushed around. So I said, you know, a man and a woman, it's equal, no matter what. It's equal, because he knows he can always come back to come home. So, and I say that with my other son too. And, you know, I have two boys. One's 33 and then Grant's going to be 29. So Grant is already in the process of how to treat a woman like a lady.
Yeah. Okay. This is really
nice. How to find a lady.
Okay. My last question to you, Julie, first to you and then to Grant. You mentioned you have another son. So I'll tell you some examples that I've heard that typically family advice comes or parents feel that it's okay if my one child is having some kind of disability or disorder or concern. I have another child to take care of this one when I'm not there. Did this thing cross your mind? Do you believe in this or do you not believe, or why?
No, my other one needed to grow up. So there was never crossed my mind he was going to take care of Grant. And you got to remember, year 2000, we don't have enough information about autism. So that particular sibling, like many others in that year, were left behind, angry, rebellion. Why is my brother weird? Why is my brother embarrassing me? Oh, please, I don't want to be seen with my brother. But we didn't understand enough yet. We just wanted him to be patient. We're working on it. We didn't understand autism like that. So Ross is his name. He went through a lot of anger, but a lot of our siblings did, because we didn't, I mean, they're still learning how to put sibling groups together. So, but as Ross moved in with his father, and that helped lighten the friction. And so we saw him periodically, and it grew, the family dynamic grew. And then, you know, Ross went on it with his own life, but he was more work than Grant. My typical child, keeping him out of trouble. And I wasn't there to do the discipline, but he managed and he got through that. But now he's so proud of Grant. He cannot believe what Grant and I have accomplished. He came to watch us one day speak, and we were being honored by Goya Foods.
Okay.
And so when they came, he and his family, he has a baby and a family, and they thought it was all these artists were going to be recognized. It was just Grant, and Grant gave a 15-minute speech. And now Grant has a photographic memory. So when we say Grant reads scripts, he can memorize it and then say it, and he adds all his personality to it. So you think Grant's just talking, but it's like Temple. They can just see the paper in their head. And my other son was blown away. Then he realized the magnitude of his brother.
And
how
do you feel about it, Grant? What has your emotion and memory been like?
For my brother, I admit my brother and I, we have our differences, and you know, we're not perfect siblings. But you know what?
The good sibling.
Nobody is a perfect sibling.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not a good sibling. But
like I said, I am proud of my brother today.
But I can tell you that, you know, God again is in play, because Ross had to learn to live with autism, because Ross has a baby just diagnosed with autism, a baby girl. Yeah, and she's fully she doesn't speak yet, but she's got all the motor skills and normalcy. Looks normal, but doesn't talk, but she has autism. And so when they got the diagnosis, and the mother's a nurse, but her other two kids didn't have any problems. So when they got the diagnosis, there was no, oh my gosh, oh geez, what are we going to do? If he wasn't my son, he'd probably say, hey, maybe he could be like that Grant Monnier kid.
Sure. And that's what I want many parents to say when they see this, that, you know, maybe our kids can be like Grant.
And when it comes to cancer, we are very sensitive that many people have struggled and suffered with it. But there are a few people like Grant who never get sick and who never lose their hair. Now, if we had known that story going into it without all that fear, I don't know, maybe you would have been in remission 3 days, you know? We wouldn't have been so scared. But those stories exist, and you may not get sick. And so if somebody gets diagnosed with cancer, they may say, remember that story about that kid, Grant Monnier? You know, let's hear what they did. And all we did was pray. We prayed, we added a lot of what we call chakra healing. We did whatever it took to raise the vibration and raise the energy.
Yeah. Excellent. Anything in the end?
Yeah, we laughed a lot.
Okay. Anything you guys want to share? You want to share before we end this, with the parents watching, with those young adults watching?
So we have a new book called Grant, the Eco-Friendly Artist. We have 7 books, and this book will lead you on the story of what we just told you about Grant, even when, you know, from me taking him to the doctor, and then realizing, well, maybe his art can help him find the way. And then, of course, Grant recycling and how he recycles and how he entered contests. So everything we just spoke about is in this book. And then we started doing shows. And then, of course, kind of hard this way, how Grant has raised thousands and thousands of dollars. And then we teach others to eco art. So yes, this is our new book, Grant, the Eco-Friendly Artist. You can find our information at Jigsaw, like a puzzle. Show them that, Grant. Jigsawgrant.com.
Yeah,
and
I'm going to share the website.
Thank you. But no, we just want people to hear our story. Not everyone's a single parent, but if you are, don't be afraid. You know, there's somebody ahead of you, you know, pointing the light and telling you, go this way, go that way. And that's all I did, is I followed the resources that we had at the time. Now we are the resource.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so very much. And I'm sure this is very useful, especially 2 takeaways for me, because I get these questions from parents and I'm not an expert on this, that who after us and what after us. And the second one on the family aspect, the relationship aspect. And I'm sure parents will also connect to the sibling aspect, that maybe it's not fair to put that pressure and expectation and burden on the sibling.
I mean, I know some people may have to, but Grant has been raised to be independent and hope and in an environment that's going to take care of him. His brother has his own challenges.
And I think lastly, like you said, Grant, both of you said, find a talent. If you don't have a talent, make one up.
That's right. Remember, 85% of autistic people are unemployed. 85% are unemployed. So when they can't manage to integrate in society at that time, maybe they might have a small side job to make some money. The internet, the way it is now.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.